Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I'm Dr. Gail, and this is Mary. Thanks for being here today. And Mary and I have been talking about all sorts of things behind the scenes. So we're going to, I'm not sure what direction we're going to be taking, but it was kind of all over the place. But let me see who's here so I can say hello to them. Mary, well, first off, this is probably the last time we're together before you go on your retreat. So do you want to go ahead and do your last pitch for the retreat?
I might explode if I start talking about that retreat right now because I am so incredibly excited.
Okay.
The reality is, we only even have one room left, and I feel like we have a really good group. So, like, if anyone else is just dying to go, yeah, come on, it's fine, it's fine. Otherwise, we are pedal to the metal going full force into this thing because it's amazing. And I was just telling Gail right before the show that a year ago, when I was planning this, I committed myself to channeling the spirit of the mountain to give everyone blessings, but have so far been unable to make the connection to the mountain to start channeling or like feeling that mountain energy. And finally, yesterday, guys, talk about last minute. Yesterday, the mountain finally came through for me, and I was able to channel some messages and make that connection. So now I'm just ready to go. I'm excited. I know there's a couple people in the chat who are going to be there. So we're just excited left and right and throwing confetti and screaming and dancing and running around. That's like what's happening in my brain right now. It's going to be an amazing time. We're just so excited.
All right. Let me say hello to some people here. Um, okay. Hey, Jen Carr. Thanks for being here today. Hey, Rossi. Hey, Debbie, Three Shifting Veils. Thanks for being here. Hey, Mary Lauer. Hey, Dream Journey One. Hey, Stephanie. Hey, Faye Cole. Hey, Northern Lights. Thanks for being here this afternoon. And of course, it's rainy here. I'm sure it is there too for you, isn't it? Rainy.
Oh, yes. The sun finally came back out, but it was thundering pretty hard during my last phone call.
Yeah. Hey, Melcy. Hey, Julie. Hey, Patricia. Thanks for being here today. Hey, Mangled Unicorn. Thanks for being here. Hey, Diane G. Hey, Lisa. Thanks everybody for being here today. And I'm getting ready to ask you a question about that connecting to the mountain. So, why do you think you connected to the mountain now?
Okay. Well,
I'm just going to open up this whole story.
can of worms open. So,
Yeah.
when I was told I would be channeling the spirit of the mountain, I was visited by an entity that told me this. And then after that, they just kind of went away. And anytime I tried to tap in, it was like nothing. But then there was some strange things happening as we get closer and closer to time. And me and Gail had a conversation about dark elementals and realizing how there are nature spirits who are meant to cause a little bit of mischief and chaos in order to get you to shift your perception around what you're doing. And so once I realized it was dark elemental energy coming up to the retreat, I shifted a little bit of the ritual and ceremony that I'm going to be doing around the opening ceremonies so that we are deeply honoring the mountain itself and the spirit of the mountain, honoring the land. And I'm personally going to be bringing some gifts for the mountain. And after I didn't even do that stuff yet, but it was just the planning of it, the commitment to those acts that the mountain just came to me and opened up and we had a whole conversation. So it's honor is something that was coming up with the dark elementals around this. And now everything feels happy and playful and joyful and excited. So now light elementals are present with us.
So the lesson both of us have learned that when dark elementals show up, it tends to be that you haven't honored their land. So honor is the big word for them. That is their land. We are the ones, we're the intruders, and that we need to honor their land.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where I try to do that anyway. So I felt like we had done that, I thought that we had to a certain extent, but I realized it was something a little bit more it was something deeper.
Yeah,
And
it's
it
deep.
needed something
You can't
personal.
you can't just go like, oh, honor. You have to really go inside yourself.
Yes. Well, I can't just like bring someone else into honor. So what I'm talking about specifically is that that particular land was originally Cherokee land, and we
Yeah.
have a Cherokee wisdom keeper coming. But he can't just come and be the one to honor that and to bring our awareness to that. Like, we each personally have to honor that. So I'm bringing personal gifts from me to the mountain. And that kind of shifted some energy. So it's honored.
Well, good. Good. All right. So anyway, the retreat, you have one spot left. And so how do people find that one spot if they're interested in going?
If you guys want to come, you can go over to our website, earthandstarwellness.com, and go over to our events tab, and there's a ticket link down there, and you can just go ahead and snatch that up.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks. Anyway, so what do you want to talk
Anyway.
about? Anyway, let's go on to the next subject here. We talked, Nancy Jean and I talked about elementals yesterday, and first thing Mary says is, "Oh, let's talk about the elementals." I went, "Oh, I did a whole show on that yesterday." So that was just like an abbreviation for the elementals.
It was, and I didn't catch that show, but it just felt like that's coming up for a lot of people right now, and maybe just from the shamanic point of view, it's slightly different. That like I said, I wasn't watching that show, but it's my belief that everything has a shadow side, everything. So you can have your light element of air and a dark elemental of a tornado, or a light elemental of water and a dark elemental of the hurricane. And it's how you work with the elementals that gives you what you need. So working with air might open your mind, might expand your intelligence, might get you to think outside the box, might inspire you.
That's amazing that you're talking about air, because that's what I've been working with a lot lately is air.
Mm-hmm. And then like working with the tornado energy might clear out a bunch of junk that you've been holding on to unnecessarily and letting things go. And it feels like chaos and like it's hard to really see your next step, but it's the letting go that helps you work with both sides of that elemental. So yeah, because honestly, Gail, when you were like, that's a dark elemental, I was like, oh God, now what? Now what do I have to work through? Like that fear, like, okay.
Yeah, well, like Diane G saying, do dark elementals also attach to people for the same reason, not honoring their land? Yes, I would say it's mostly attaching to a person who is not honoring the land. I mean, as I said, Mary and I both have learned a lesson on that we have to be so genuine on honoring the land. You know who's really good about that is Danny Shea. He always goes, everywhere he goes, he honors the land. He always is giving gifts. And I'll look at him going, oh, I forgot my gift. Daddy giving a gift. He's always honoring land.
And that's something I think that we can really learn from traditional shamanic cultures. There's a man I know who channels the elemental of fire. And it's required that anytime you come to see him channel, even though you've purchased a ticket to be there and to take part in this ceremony, when you come, you bring the gift of tobacco, of a cigar, and you give him that gift. You give the shaman that gift because he's channeling that elemental. And a lot of native cultures are like that. You don't show up empty-handed if you want to create a partnership or a friendship or interact with somebody. If you show up empty-handed, it might be showing that you don't care about them or want to work with them. So in exchange.
Yeah, after I discovered about honoring the land, I went out and put sitting around my pond that's out in front of me. I went down the ocean and threw in rose quartz, went down the river, threw rose quartz. I was like, because I carry rose quartz in my car all the time for that reason. Because when I was coming across from Mount Shasta back to South Carolina and going back and forth, everywhere I went, that was special, I would leave some rose quartz. So that's always in my car for me to honor the lands that I'm around.
I'm going to be honest.
All right, be honest.
I sometimes have an issue with giving gifts to the land because most of the gifts we give to the land originally came from the land.
Oh, you're giving back to the land.
Right. So, like, if you're giving it flowers or stones, like, you took that from the land to begin with. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, Mount Shasta was the one that told me that I needed to start bringing them gifts. And the gifts could be flowers, as simple as flowers or
Mhm,
simple
mhm.
stones. So they wanted that kind of gifts. That mountain
And they
wanted that.
and
Yes.
they do, I agree. This was a rabbit hole that I went down a long time ago, like a decade ago, and I was like, "Why am I giving flowers and feathers when I took those flowers and feathers from somewhere else?" You know? And so, like, I went through a process of just giving love for a long time, like, making sure that I was in a space of love and that, like, even stepping on the grass, I was, like, leaving an imprint of love, and that was kind of like my offering.
Mhm.
Um, but we're kind of coming full circle again now to where we're understanding that they really enjoy those gifts. They enjoy like gratefulness and love too, because that's a really powerful energy.
Right.
But taking it that step further into a physical action, you know, like obviously I don't know how to roll a freaking cigar. So I had to go expend money um, in order to get that cigar to bring it to this elemental of fire, right? So there is an energy exchange that's more than just, okay, I'm happy and grateful for you now.
I
You know, so
remember you. I remember you. Didn't you carry tobacco in your store at one time? Because it seems like to me I had to go get some tobacco to give to the land somewhere, and I can't remember where that was. I remember going. It specifically needed to be tobacco.
I think we did have some different herbs for offering and stuff like that, but I carry some tobacco and sage and copal, and I carry a few different things that I not in the shop anymore, but like just keep for me and cacao beans and stuff like that because those are things that we like to give to the fire and to the earth to
Well, so also I used to give chocolate to the fairies. Little chocolate kiss was in the mouth Shasta. I would take that to them, sit it on the bench, and here's your little chocolate kiss. And because the fairies were so prominent on one of these trails that I was on, you could see them moving the leaves and the grass. You could see them physically moving it as they would walk with you through the trail.
What I find interesting is that I have found that elementals also need us. Like they also like we think of elementals as being able to tap into what we can get from them, such as air with inspiration or water for peace and you know stuff like that. But they also need from us because this is a harmonization that we're creating in our ecosystem because we're all part of the same ecosystem.
Right.
There's the story you said just reminded me like my storage unit. I keep all of my crystals and old stuff in my storage unit and there's fairies. When I get to my storage unit, there's fairies that meet me at the door and they're like, "Hey, where have you been? Play with us. Let's go." And it's crazy because it's a storage unit, right? Like cement building, but they like live there and they wait for me to show up and we have to play and spend some time together with the crystals. They really enjoy that.
Well, Annie Bear is asking, says, I give a few strands of my hair, Mary's what she was saying. I haven't even thought about that, giving strands of hair. I'm assuming to the earth is what you're talking about, Annie Bear.
I've done that with fire before, giving strands of hair to the fire. I have done that. I'll have to think about that with the earth. I guess I kind of do that unintentionally. I should do that intentionally.
Because intentionally, we're always giving it to earth.
I should give that intentionally.
Yeah. So do you do a ceremony around Annie Bear or anything? Around the ceremony of giving the hair? I'd like to go out and give my cat hair. She's shedding right now. Like to give that as a gift. Um, but anyway, So, anything else you want to add? Okay, Annie says, I used to go blood when I was menstrual. What?
Yeah, so like they have these menstrual cups instead of
Right.
tampons that catch it, and I'd fill a mason jar and just give it to the earth. Just give it back.
Well, that sounds disgusting, but I can see that.
Not disgusting, it's beautiful. This is your femininity.
From a girl who worked in the operating room with blood all the time. And so, and seeing how it goes through the stages of coagulation and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what went right through my mind.
Well, you have to dump it before it coagulates, but I liked to do mine in a circle, to kind of create an entire ceremony around the monthly cycle. So I think it's beautiful.
And she says, no ceremony needed, mother knows.
Right. That's right.
So, thanks, anyway. All right. So, anything else you want to say about the retreat? The elementals, the mountain?
I want to tell you something. Hold on. I feel like there might be, but I don't know what it is. Let me channel it. Okay. I'm getting a message from the mountain. Hold on. And the mountain doesn't speak like eloquently like we do. It's like flashes of imagery with words here and there.
Right,
so what I was shown was the mountain, and I was shown this yellow light underneath with this pressure, like it's ready to erupt. And then I saw the light shining out. I keep seeing the image of a bear, other than it being in the Appalachians and there being bears.
A lot of bears. And if you want to know what mountain?
It's Little Scaly Mountain. But I also feel like this could be like the DNA, the energetic DNA ancestral connection that is being honored. And then I just see that eruption. So like the exchange happening. So the mountain essentially is telling us it's ready to shine. It's ready to erupt and let us all shine.
Well, I think it's interesting because immediately when you said the yellow light, I was associating it going the eruption of the solar plexus for confidence is immediately what I got.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's there with us. So we're finally in harmony, and it's ready. So we're gonna go out there and do this.
Hi, Gina. Thanks for being here today. Thanks everybody for being here. So Mary, okay, let's go to the next subject. What do you want to talk about now?
Okay, so I was talking to a student right before this call, and we were talking about you. And I think she caught your show yesterday, maybe. And she said that you look so pretty and so young, and that you look so free and radiant, and you look like this young girl. You look like you're 24 years old. And she was raving about how beautiful and free you look.
Well, thank you, whoever that was. I appreciate that.
It was Gigi. I'm not sure if she's in here. I haven't seen her so far, I don't think.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Gigi. Anyway, I was thinking you were going somewhere else on that.
Oh, well, I mean, Venus energy, right? So young and beautiful.
Yes. I thought there was something else that you're going to talk about, some revelation of a planet or whatever, or Venus.
Venus is a revolutionary planet. You better put some respect on that name.
Well, I do. That Venus is actually my favorite planet that I've been on. That is my favorite planet.
Yeah. I don't know why that energy is coming up right now, because it's actually a full moon in Sagittarius right now. So there's a lot of energy going on with that that's going to free us and open us to all kinds of beauty. But I think just beauty in general is starting to usher its way in. Now that we've kind of worked through these dark elemental spaces, now we're starting to see the quiet joy, not necessarily meaning you don't speak, but like that subtle joy right here in the chest that's beginning to come up, that bliss space. And to me, that feels like Venus energy, because Venus, from an astrological point of view, represents love and beauty and romance and relationships, pleasure, art, personal values, finances, material things. And I just found all of that interesting, looking at the meaning of Venus energy. I found that interesting and related in relation to the story that you told me earlier about
Well,
what was
yeah,
intended for us.
yeah. Well, also Venus, which surprised me, as dark energy there too, and which everybody thinks, oh, it's all love and everything like that. But when I was going to Venus and traveling through Venus, I had to be aware of what was across this river. I knew that these were bad people over there, which really surprised me because we never think, and I guess it's, everything's it has duality, but we always think of Venus as just being pure good love and happiness, and then that shocked me that there are some negative or dark energy there too on the other side of Venus.
And like if you wanted to put that into hypotheticals, you might not, but I want to put it into a hypothetical using that word duality that you brought up. There is the dark side to everything or the shadow side to everything. And the shadow side to beauty is war. The shadow side to all of these things exists there also. But then also the dark side or the shadow side is represented by feminine, and Venus is a very feminine type of planet and energy. And that's represented in the yin yang by that black energy, that darker energy. But even in all of that, there are just shadow sides to all of this. There are shadow sides to finances and shadow sides to material things and personal values. And I almost feel like there's a lot going on right now, or at least for the past 6 months or so, where there's been a lot of shadow values being shown. There's been a lot of shadows and materials and finances and personal values. And maybe Venus is starting to make a little bit of an appearance to say, okay, can we switch this energy? Can we change our personal values? Can we change our relationship with money or how we perceive material things? Can we shift our relationships and what we think is beautiful right now? And that's going to cause a big change right now, even with how we work with the elementals and shifting into those light spaces. I just see that happening. I think a lot of people right now are standing up for what's right, or what they believe is right. And the world is starting to shift back to that light side. I can feel that.
Yes. All right. You want to answer some questions?
Might as well before I get political. Let's go.
Oh, let's don't do political. Yes.
Your band.
You're going, we're not doing political. Okay. Hey, Jen, can I ask if my guys have any guidance on my 25-year marriage? I'm at a loss and have so much going on in my head. Thanks. I don't think you want to hear what I have to say about that, Jen. So, Mary, I'm going to let you take it.
I will take it because I have no idea, like, logically what's going on. But I can tell you that this says, purge it, let it go. And this says, it ain't real or it ain't what you think it is. Like, there's something about it that maybe, was it a long marriage, 25 years? Maybe it was something that when you first started, you guys maybe have been on the same playing field, but then as you've kind of grown apart, and I'm not one to just kind of be like, who cares about the last 25 years of your life? I know that's a big deal. That's like a whole quarter of the dollar, like that's a big deal. But I'm also seeing that there's something that's just not right there. Like you're wearing masks to pretend that everything's okay, or to be a certain person around your person so that you can be accepted or to create peace in the home.
Okay. So, Medical Mike had his say what he thinks. Okay. Go ahead.
Already channeled for this?
Yeah. What did he say, Jen? I'd like to hear what he said.
Oh, she channeled Medical Mike.
Yep, exactly. So I
Oh,
want to hear what he said, Jen.
yeah. Let's corroborate. Let's see what he's got to say about all of this. But I just feel like once we are able to kind of cut that off, grieve, and then move on, I feel like you have like limitless possibilities. There's anything. You could be anyone, you can do anyone when you don't have the beat down. Not like physically, but I just feel like your energy is contained there. So
Well, Patricia's saying, knowing Medical Mike, he said it with humor. I'm sure he did too, Patricia, since he's such a prankster and dances around all the time. But Jen, what did Medical Mike say? You going to share that with us? Oh, let me see. Well, honestly, I asked him to help my neck pain, and I got the words, tell him to keep your hands off. Okay.
wow. Well.
Yes. They wasn't said very funny. That was pretty direct from Medical Mike.
His
So,
hands off you. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. Like there's a lot of base energy, low vibrations, ego stuff going on. And once you can get out of that, there's going to be a lot of joy for you. So, of course, that's up to you entirely. You have free will over your life.
yes, free will.
You have free will.
All right. Okay, let's see what's next. I knew that one was going to be hard. It was going to be hard for me to read on that one. Okay, play, love, remember. I saw a blue fairy late, and she made sure I saw her because she was flying right around the street light. They fly around my garden outside my windows, but are white and look like white fuds. Woods are 100 feet. Oh, okay, that's just a statement. Oh, well, that's nice that you're seeing those fairies. Play, love, remember.
I love that. There's lots of what I call fairy bugs around here that just go zip, 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 zip.
Yes.
And when I first started working from home, I noticed in a lot of my videos that there would be those little floaties in the background of my videos too.
Yeah. All right. Jen says, yeah, we are living in two different places. I'm sure I know what to do. Well, there you go, Jen. You know, Jen, the thing about it is women take so long to make a decision on to end a relationship. It usually takes them 2 years, where it usually takes a man 3 months to make that decision. So we're because of our emotions and everything, it takes us forever to finally let go. We keep just hanging on to that possibility. Whereas men, they just, I'm done. 3 months. They don't go through as much of that. But I'm assuming your husband's the one that's probably not wanting it to end because y'all are still together. All right, let's see what's the next one. Let's see what's Patricia had several things to say here, but I kept starring. In northern New Mexico, where I live, I heard it for more than one person that has lived here that if you do not have the right vibrations, the mountains, the Sangre de Cristo, will have you depart. Oh yeah, I heard that in Mount Shasta too. That they're saying that mountain makes everybody's life really hard when they get there, just so they kind of weed out who should stay and who should go. When I went there, I only knew I was going to be there for 2 years, so I was under a little bit of different scenario than a lot of people who go there. But they do say it makes that the mountains will make your life hard. I see you have another one. When I first entered the Black Hills in South Dakota, I heard a voice say, enter with open heart. Oh, that's nice.
I have a curiosity question though. When going to a mountain, how much of that making your life hard is really like your energy field purging enough so that you can raise your vibration enough to attune to the energy of the mountain that you're living in?
Yes, from the metaphysical, and that's exactly what it is. However, listening to the locals That's how they look at it. So I always had the locals, because I had quite a few friends that were the locals, had been there all their life, but they were not in the metaphysical world. So I could hear how they responded to some of the things, but then I knew the metaphysical side of it. So it was nice. I mean, because I do like to have friends who are not just, in this world, that you can get a perspective on what they look at, how they look at things.
I have a question. Do I need to put it in the chat?
What's your question?
Well, because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, I don't think. I want to know, because I know that you kind of channel everything. I want to know what role a chupacabra plays. If we're talking about elementals and dark elementals and archetypes and how there's like this harmonious energy exchange, I specifically have been drawn to chupacabra for a really long time. And
what is that?
It's like,
I mean, everybody in the chat, probably not everybody, but me.
chupacabra.
Okay, so what is that?
It translates to goat sucker in Spanish. So it's thought to be like a vampire creature. But it's pretty legendary, like in the Americas and in Latin America. So it's like a big dog, but some people have described it as like reptilian or alien-like, or like a small bear.
Thanks, Ross. Boat-like creature. Thanks. So what is their attraction to it? And what are you asking again?
I don't know. I just want to know what our relationship is, because when I'm thinking about these archetypes that we work with, even the dark ones, there's healing that comes out of it. Like they're showing us something through the chaos and through the fear, right? Until we can come into healing, and then we're further aligned with the light. So back when I lived in Conway, I had 50 acres of land around me, and I used to hear howling all the time. And occasionally some animals from the farm would go missing. And of course, we're in the country, right? Packs of coyotes. We didn't have wolves, but, coyotes, right? Coyotes. But I swear that I would see large black things out there, and like the cats would go missing and things like that. So I don't know why. I just feel very drawn to chupacabra.
Well, Gina's saying it's like it likes to munch on things like animals.
Well, yeah, they do. They do. So I think that.
Well, Rossi's saying she thinks they're shapeshifters.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't get anything negative about them. For me, I don't get anything negative about them. So what are you wanting me to channel? Because even if they're getting small animals, I don't get I only get positive about them.
Right. So I guess my question was like, what do they mean when they come to you? Or how can you create a harmonious relationship with them when they come to you? Like, what do they want when they come?
Okay. Harmony is the word I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledgement, harmony. It's almost like they want a big hug. Like they just want to be
you with their teeth.
They just, but we have a lot of fierce things that look fierce that we embrace. We even have big, scary looking dogs that we embrace. And that's kind of the feeling I'm getting out of them, is that, and I'm getting humongous yes on this, that they just want to be embraced for who they are and accepted for who they are. And we pay attention to everything but them. We are not acknowledging who they are. We're not acknowledging them, that they're around.
Another thing that I feel is coming through around that is I heard the words put on trial. So it almost feels like when there's a lot of judgment around being who we are, that maybe they come to us in those moments. Because honestly,
when we're being judgmental, you think they show up?
Or when we're being judged for trying to be authentic and be who we are and open to a new part of us, because there's also the shapeshifter element to it, where we can be multiple different versions of ourselves and still be true to who we are on the inside.
They're
So
saying they're saying you're off the mark. You're off the mark. That's not it at all. So let's ask it to it, because every time you're talking about, they're just like, no, no, no. That's not it. They don't come for that. But what I'm getting is they just want to be treated almost like we look at reptilians as being ugly, and we think negatively of them. They're wanting us to embrace them and look at them differently. And because they are not attractive doesn't mean they're not a good energy, which I'm getting that they are a very good energy, and there's something that we want to have around us. And they're here. Well, because you're talking about Venus. You've been talking about Venus. That's how they have shown up. It's about Venus. And maybe they're those beings on the other side. Oh my gosh, they're the beings on the other side of the river on Venus.
Oh.
And because the way they look, they're able to isolate themselves and keep people away. But all they do is they want to be loved because they are from Venus. So I'm not sure what else you want to know, Mary, from that.
I'm good.
Okay. I just want to make sure I answered your question.
No, you did answer my question. And then I think it brought you closer to like your mark specifically because of the vision that you had. So they were kind of showing you something about that. And I think it was starting to open me to understanding something about my personal past with them as well.
Yeah.
Because at the moments that they were coming were pretty pivotal moments in my spiritual journey. That
they were bringing you love.
Yeah, they were pretty pivotal moments. So there was a lot going on there. Thanks for answering my question, guys. Okay, we can get back to them now.
Okay. Well, I didn't get to read everybody what you were saying because I was too involved in channeling the information. Let's see who's next. So I might not have started a few things. Let's see. Maybe it's Rossi that's next. I had an elemental that presented itself looking similar to my cat. Another instant later showed as a blue being of light. What is it, and what message do they want to give me? There you go. Well, I haven't seen the elemental present itself as a cat or similar to a cat, but that doesn't mean anything because I've seen them in trees and everything else. Mary, have you?
No, but I have seen the little blue things that almost reminds me of the will-o'-the-wisp, like the follow these steps to your destiny kind of thing, like the inspiration kind of thing. But because it's a cat, I would assume a black cat from your picture. This might be one of those like darker elementals that we're talking about. So maybe it's guiding like our shadow parts. Maybe it's guiding our emotional parts or our feminine parts into alignment with destiny. I was just getting like that image of like steps, doop, 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 like little lights.
Well, first off, Rossi, I don't think that was an elemental that you saw. And the cat, I don't think, I'm getting that it was another cat from a past life, or a cat that had passed, or a cat that you've had in the past that was presenting itself. So this is more of a cat that, I don't know if you've had another cat that died in the past, but anyway, it's another cat that has shown up totally different, and it's a cat. So it's kind of like two different things that we're talking about. And the steps that you're talking about, the blue steps, that's definitely, I was just still stuck on on that cat. But because I was feeling like, I don't think it's elemental, but it's a cat that has been in your life before, has had a lifetime with you before. And it seems like to me, it was showing up for acknowledgement, I'm not sure, or the fact that you're maybe recognizing that you're a medium, or that showing that you can be a medium. I'm not sure about that part of it. But anyway, so you think that the blue was for a stepping stone to something? Maybe this is, Rossi, are you a medium? Because maybe this is all leading towards that. So the message, you want to give her a message from that being, or from the lights, the cat? And I said, it was a tabby that I had, but I did have a blue light being. Okay, so yeah, these are two different things. I think, Rossi, I think that was a cat from your past, and the blue light being. So it's a blue. So you think it's a blue light being? What are you thinking, Mary?
She said she has taken Rossi. I don't know if that's a female or a male. They have taken classes, so maybe their abilities are developing. But I did think that those little blue things were like, these are your next steps towards destiny. So these could be taking classes. These could be practicing opening your subtle gifts. These could be working with.
She's female. Well, and yeah, that does sound right, that taking the steps. And that was the first time she's seen a cat that had passed. So I think it is developing that mediumship, the steps towards developing that, trying to pull the story together.
Yeah. So it's all coming together, the things that you're hoping to do with your subtle gifts. I think that they're all coming to fruition, and mediumship might be one of them. Psychic abilities, things like that. It's just starting to open up. So you're on your path towards all the subtle things.
I do think mediumship kind of opens you up to everything. So, all right, what's next? And it's amazing that it's your cat that you saw first. All right. All right, let's see. Did we already answer a question for Jen Carr? Can you guys explain what people may see with a third eye? You want to take that real quickly, Mary, while I look at these questions?
I can. So do you mean like the types of things that people see with the third eye, or like how it looks from the third eye? Because the third eye chakra in general is kind of like the be here now space of peace, where we don't worry about the future or the past, but it's also our 6-dimensional portal. So a lot of the time, this is where we can get in touch with our guidance a little bit and different things like that. Now, I personally, when I see through my third eye, a lot of the time it's like subtle energies, like noticing a form, but then kind of feeling what that is. And then my third eye is able to interpret that. In vision, sometimes it's black and white vision. If my physical eyes are closed and I'm just sensing through the third eye. She says sometimes she sees something really fast and sometimes like a movie. Yeah, when I see things like just going by really fast, a lot of the time it's because my physical eyes are more turned on than my third eye. But if I were to shut my physical eyes, then I can see through my third eye, kind of like a 3D movie. So there's a balance between the dark energies that we have inside of ourselves. So like the subtle senses, like the clairvoyance and clairaudience and clairsentience, and our actual physical senses that are more on the surface. So balancing them and working them together. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking about that myself, because, I function out of my third eye a lot, and I see pictures, movies. I see myself working on spaceships. And I really straddle that fine line of being 3D, 5D, looking through my two eyes versus my third eye. So mine's a little blurred a lot of times, but I do recognize what's going on with each one of them. In the beginning, it was a little disconcerting, because it's like, what is happening here? But I'm so used to it now, being able to jump back and forth to it very easily, focusing on one versus the other. But I do see people, movies, things, places. I see all sorts of things. Do you think that answered the question?
I think so.
I don't know yet, Jen, if we're answering the question.
Mangled Unicorn says that some people's third eye is in their butthole.
Oh my gosh.
I just wanted to say that out loud. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to say that live on YouTube.
That's right, and to laugh. All right, let's see. Debbie Three Shifting Bells. What planet was the destroyed that the pals were sent here to reincarnate into? What planet was destroyed? I guess it's the prisoners of war were sent here to reincarnate into. Well, Mars was destroyed. I knew that. But also Lyran was destroyed. So I'm not exactly, I know Mars, we came from Mars. So we destroyed that planet Mars, and that's how we're here now on Earth. And I know the Lyrans were, their planet was destroyed by the reptilians. So I'm not real sure that's answering your question, Debbie, or there's something more specific. Well, what do you have, Mary, on that?
I don't know anything about the history of planets like that the way that you do, but I keep feeling like a lot of Jupiter energy around this question. And so I feel like the question was brought up for the simple fact that at this time, things are reincarnating in that space. So things are expanding, things are becoming more intelligent. So I don't have like the exact name of that planet or whatever it was, but I think that it's coming up because it is healing. It is growing again.
Okay. All right, Debbie, did we answer your question?
I think Diane answered the question.
Well, thanks, Diane. You say Maldak. Some people call it Timonmac, or whatever. Okay. All right. All right. Well, so we didn't do a very good job on that one.
I think I did great.
Hey, Diane, I believe something happened in Venus the past that has Venetians fleeing to the Centaurus system. Are there Venetian survivors still living in Venus? Well, in my opinion, yes. But let me check on that. I mean, I've been up there within the last year. Yeah, they're Venetians still living on Venus. So they have been attacked, but it was only a small segment is what they're showing me. It really didn't affect the whole planet. All right, Mary, what do you get?
I don't know if you're going to agree with me, but this is what I am having flashes of. I almost feel like the part of it that was hurt or that was attacked, that the survivors there, it's almost like I'm seeing this underground something or this underground group coming together because I don't want to use the word retaliation because that seems like revenge and war. But it feels like there's an underground group coming together. They've fallen before, and then they're gonna rise again. And I almost want to say like as if it's a new race. That seems like a really big message for me to say on here because I don't know nothing about aliens, but that's what was coming through.
Well, that's a good message. That's good for us all to know that a new race is coming on Venus. I've only seen, or actually now I've only seen 2 races on Venus, and you've just shown me one right now, and the other one is they were really white, like statue white people. So, so I don't know what else might be there. I've only seen 2 types right now on Venus.
Do any of them have like wings?
The white ones probably do. The ones I saw, because there was a lot of children running around there, and for me, I felt like the children had wings and that had
wings,
had the ability. Yeah, so I'm assuming the adults, the ones I was seeing, were the working ones that were working inside this little village. So I didn't see everyone.
I wonder if these are like descendants of those who are just creating something new.
Well, as I said, they all were religious figures. You could
Mhm.
go with that how you want with wings and things, but it was an extremely powerful group or religious group. And it was a lot of the heritage of where people that we know in the Bible and things came from.
Mhm.
You could tell I'm holding back. I don't want to go into that. That's going to be very controversial. But let's go to Vera.
I'd like to see you ruffle a few feathers.
um, Vera, hi. Do I have a galactic family? I ruffle feathers all the time. I have a galactic family.
Oh,
Do they have a message for me? You want to take that one, Mary?
sure, I'd love to do that. Okay. So I'm seeing lots of stars, I'm seeing lots of fruit, and I'm hearing like the word abundance, lots of pentacles. What was yours?
This is what you're talking about. It says portal doors are opening. You decide rewards wild card. So you
Yeah,
just started off on that.
absolutely. Like it feels like good things are opening up, that are coming, that are happening. Um, and I don't feel like it's just in the spiritual world. I feel like it's in the physical 3D world where there's rewards, where there's unexpected gifts, where there's, you know, refunds or whatever it is. Like there's things coming to you and lighting you up, and it's like this, not a sense of floating because you've worked really hard in the past to get where you are, but it's almost like this sense of getting to walk on the golden carpet for a little while and just eat all the fruit you want and just be cared for and supported. It's just that open, expansive feeling of heaven for a while. I like that message.
Yes, that's a great message.
Claim that energy, guys. Claim
Yeah.
it.
Yes. All right, let's see. Gina, I have not asked before, what galactic roots do I have, or do I have a galactic guide? You decide. Okay, Gina. Let's see. Immediately, I'm getting Palladians. Yeah, it's Palladians. That's your roots. And your guides, you got, I don't, I'm seeing more human gods than I am seeing extraterrestrial gods. Now, I'm not sure these are not people who have passed that are standing around you. Oh, yeah, it is. Right now, you got people who have passed who are interfering with me seeing your actual gods. There's two men, and they almost look like twins that are standing up there. And there's one other one standing beside them, but two of these guys look like twins. And I don't know, maybe they're a father, son, grandfather, son. I don't know what they are, but they look very similar to each other. And there's another human standing beside them, but I think they want the acknowledgement. I think, Gina, I think they want you to connect to them before your guides really start pouring in, or your galactic guides start pouring in. But it's Palladians, and you have three humans who are around you that have passed, and they're all free males. Oh, Mary, what are you getting on it?
For some reason, I'm tapping more into the ancestral pieces that I feel like are there, like the human guides, like you said. And it does feel like there's this
I don't think they're guides. I think they're her family.
yeah. And it feels like there's this long line of maternal type of presences or energies there. Um, but they're very strong. And honestly, they're very adventurous. It's almost like feeling like this beating drum, like this let's go, let's do, let's take up space, let's be loud, let's get wild kind of thing. So there's a really long maternal line supporting you, but less than supporting you. They're more like pushing you to get out there and be seen and have a good time with your life. Live.
So I'm wanting to get, it's going to take more to get into this, but can you tap into who these twins are, these twin guys? Because she's saying that, well, you tell me, Gina, is there somebody who's passed away that were twins in your family? Two men that were twins? Because there's two guys standing there, and they're dressed alike, they look alike, they're like the same size, and um, and they're standing with you, I'd almost feel like, I would almost think immediately, I would think it was children, but I think they might be the children of your grandfather or whatever. But anyway, it looks like twins. And so, do you have, Gina, any twins that in your family that have passed? Not that you know of. Okay. Do you know most of your family on both sides? Because these are twins for some reason standing there, and a third one beside them, but they're not as prominent as these twins. So, Mary, can you get anything out of these twins? She doesn't know anything about them.
Did you feel like they were guides or just part of the family?
Oh, I think they're family. I think very strongly feel like they're family.
So
They're saying uncles, sons of uncles is what they're saying. Sons of uncles.
When I tap into that energy, it does feel ancestral, but it almost feels, I hesitate to say the word ghostly because they're just presenting very differently than like the maternal line that I saw was presenting. So I do feel like it's familial, like ancestral in some way, because I'm seeing like that blood connection through England and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like they probably died young, and while they may have something to offer her, I almost feel like
they just told me who they were.
Tell me then.
They're actually Palladians.
Okay.
They're not her
they're completely different than
they're galactic families. That's why the confusion here. And I'm not seeing two standing there looking alike just like that, but they are Palladian, and I thought they were, her ancestors or her family in the past, but they're telling me no, they are Palladian galactic gods. It took long enough to get that. Anyway, that's who these twins are. They are your Palladian guys. There's a third one there, and I think there's a Palladian also, but he is not stepping forward like these two are so stepped forward and present to be acknowledged. So there you go, Gina. You have two Palladian guys, and it is family. They are your family, but and you come from the Pleiades. Anything else, Mary? I feel like, wow, how long did it take? Let's pull that out. But Palladians look very human. All right, everybody. We have gone already to the end here. And Mary, do you have anything to say at the very end before we go? Anything else you need to say?
I don't think so. A big thing that's been coming up today is just the theme of, harmonization, giving and receiving, healing and shining. So all in all, it feels like a good balance. And I'm just so excited to see those of you who I'm going to see next week. And I'm really happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me on your channel. Again, Dr. Gail.
Thanks for being here. As always. And thanks, moderators, for making this a safe place to talk. And your next show is, Mary, or your next video is about Danny. You're putting it up on Sunday, right?
Danny Shea is going to be with me on Father's Day at 10 a.m.
Good. That's exciting. So, and my next show is Saturday. I'm not sure what it's about. Well, I've got my mind on tomorrow night. I'm doing a recording or a show with Sheila Seppi, who's the one that does the talks about just the walk-ins and soul exchanges and star seeds. So she's the one that has several books out on that, and she's interviewing me. It's recorded, but my mind is like all over that because I'm supposed to be talking about human hybridization program. And so after I get through that, then I'll be able to look at my Saturday. So, but anyway,
great.
Yeah, so thanks, Mary, for being here. Thanks, everybody, and we will see y'all later. All right, bye-bye.